Welcome, Valpo fans, to another edition of Valpo Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute. I'm Aaron Levitt. Joining me today, the head coach of the Valpo women's basketball team, Mary Evans. Coach Evans, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Coming off a good weekend last weekend, two really good efforts from the team. At Bradley, started out strong, really never let them back in the game after the strong start on your way to an 18-point win. And then another good effort at Illinois State. The score line at the end of the game probably really flattering for the Redbirds, as it was a much closer game than that would indicate. Just touch a little bit on the efforts of the team last weekend.
Yeah, I thought we came out and played two really good basketball games. I would say out of the 8 quarters on the weekend, we played 7 really good quarters. And then just the fourth quarter didn't really go our way at Illinois State. But we've been kind of harping on them and talking a lot about playing with a lead. And I thought on Thursday at Bradley, we got up early, and then it was really about us staying focused and continuing to play with a lead and to extend that lead. And I thought we did a pretty good job with that. We've been trying to do some things in practice to kind of make us focus on that a little bit more. I think this team plays with a different sense of urgency sometimes when we're down, and we've got to learn to play with that same sense of urgency when we're up, 4, 5, 6 points, so we can try to stretch leads out. And I think that's kind of the next maturation process for this team. So I thought we did a pretty good job with that in Bradley. And then I thought, with a quick turnaround, we came out with great energy against Illinois State and really jumped on them early. Obviously, Leah had a fantastic game and was extremely aggressive most of the day. So there were a lot of really good positives. Illinois State is a team that is very strong offensive rebounding, and I think we held them to 5 offensive rebounds, only 1 in the second half. That might be the first time in my whole career here that we've held them under 10 offensive rebounds. So that was a big thing for us. And then again, another game where we did a great job taking care of the basketball.
You talk about the rebounding and the turnovers. You asked me earlier today to give you some stats from the last 10 games, and looking at them myself, those were the two things that really jumped out. The rebounding margin much closer than it was earlier in the year. The offensive rebounding almost even. And then the turnovers, you've been turning it over 20 times a game earlier in the year, down to 15 a game over the last 10 games. Is it just a case of a young team playing a lot of young players and then maturing over the course of the year to kind of fix those areas?
Yeah, and focusing on it. I think earlier in the season, we thought our offense was struggling quite a bit, and I felt like a lot of those struggles were due to our turnovers. And I think, teams were pressing us earlier in the year. I think we've done a better job handling that press. We've kind of adjusted some things. We're doing it with more of a multiple approach of handling the ball and not just putting that all on our point guards. So I think they're doing a really good job sharing the basketball right now, making good decisions, and getting good shots before we do turn it over. I don't think we're forcing things quite as much. I do think when you start sharing the basketball and making the pass to the open player, you eliminate a lot of those turnovers that maybe were travels as we got close to the basket and we're trying to readjust things. You get rid of the turnovers from people double teaming you when you share the basketball. So they've done a fantastic job with it. It's been something we've talked about. And then the rebounding, I think we've inserted Layla into the lineup. I think Layla's a really good defensive rebounder. I think Leah's been attacking the offensive glass more than she maybe has in the past. So it's been nice to see. And I know you talked about the offensive rebounding, but our defensive rebounding numbers in the last 5 games has been at 77%, which is the highest it's ever been since I've been here as well. So it's a big focus for us. And then lastly, I think just our increase in making our free throws, like we're shooting over 80% in the last 5 games as well from that. So I think those have been some keys to kind of put us in the stretch where we are. And, as we talk about growing as a team, we identified those 3 areas about a month or so ago and wanted to get better at them, and they have. And that's a really cool thing to see your team accomplish some goals that they set over a month ago.
Obviously, Leah Ernest has had a great year all season long, but I felt like Saturday against Illinois State was the most aggressive we've seen her all year. It was like she knew she was the best player. She was going to get whatever she wanted. How do you carry that mentality with her over into the last few weeks of the season, where she stays aggressive while our offense remains optimal?
Yeah, I think she's got to understand that teams are probably going to be keying on her, especially after the weekend she had. So she's just got to be patient. I think she's got to be willing to give the ball up and trust that her teammates will get it back to her. because they're going to be looking for that early drive, and she might need to be a little bit more patient and try to get that drive a little bit later in the shot clock, or let someone else create and let her get to a second drive. And those are things we're going to talk to her about this week, and make sure she's prepared for that. But she she is definitely an aggressive kid, and she plays best when she's aggressive. So you got to kind of let her go with some of that stuff, and kind of live through some of those decisions that she's making. And she's been extremely coachable this year, and I think she's made some great adjustments. And I think she's had some games where she's really passed the ball well, and gotten 4 or 5 assists. And I think we'll be needing some of those games from her here, and we'll need our players to make shots on the perimeter to help free her up at the rim.
Sunday at the Arc, an important game, not just for the on the court, but for what you're playing for. It's the program's annual Play for K game, honoring those battling cancer, honoring those who have beaten cancer. What does that game mean for you and the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to raise awareness to obviously those cancers in women. And, we'll have a lot of different stuff going on during the course of the game. We're going to get to honor a bunch of survivors to start the game. And it'll be an emotional day for us as a team. We've had cancer touch our family here the last couple of years with some pretty important people, and even former players that have battled it over the last couple of years. So, it'll be an emotional day, but it's a fun day, and it's an opportunity for us to help raise money to help hopefully find a cure one day, so we don't have to have people fighting this awful disease.
2 chances to catch Valpo at the Arc this week. First off, Belmont at home Thursday at 6 p.m. UIC, as I mentioned, that's the Play for K game Sunday at 1 p.m. What does this team have to do to continue to make strides forward and come out with wins this week?
Yeah, we've just got to continue to grow. I mean, that's what our thought process. We'll get back in the gym today, and we'll get to work. And Belmont's a very talented team, and we're going to have to be really good with our communication defensively and the things that we want to switch. And offensively, we've got to be really aggressive and share the basketball and continue to learn how to play as a group of 5. And that's going to be our thing every single game. And we'll see how this season finishes up for us.
As I said, Belmont 6 p.m. Thursday, UIC 1 p.m. Sunday, both at the Arc. Coach Evans, thanks for joining me today. Good luck this weekend.
All right. Thank you.
This has been Valpo Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.